Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ego and ideological doctrine in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Jackie Petch Capstick, a life and energy alignment coach and host of the Natural Healing Reel. Hi.
How are you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. So,
Good. What's shaking out there in England?
well, we've had a gale around here.
A gale?
Last night. Yeah, I
Is
slept
that a
through it.
wind?
So yeah, it's like more than a storm, less than a hurricane.
I'm sorry, I'm teasing you. We don't use that
Oh,
much around here, but we have a lot of people from England
oh
that
yeah.
fire out this way. But it's funny just to
Apparently in like 1987 or something, there was a hurricane here. It was a gale, but it was like a leftover from the hurricane in America or something. But for us, it was like a hurricane.
Yeah, I think you guys have similar weather and climate as we do here in Vancouver, right? Lots of
Oh
rain.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how's podcasting going? Are you
I've been churning them out, to be honest. Yeah, it is a little bit challenging sometimes to get new people to interview, but maybe it's just me. Uh, so yeah, I mean, but I'm definitely enjoying it. Yeah, I don't know what to say exactly, but I'm quite enjoying certain books that I've started to do readings on because um, it's getting into like quantum physics and stuff, and it's linked to mysticism or spirituality, right? And I really like that because I've started. There's an empirical case for what we're talking about. We're not just like it's not just woo woo with no basis. Um, I do think it's personally, I don't think you need evidence to believe in it because it's faith is involved, right? But it certainly does help to see where the evidence makes the case for it.
I agree. I agree. I think because there's so many people that if you're sharing on you and I have that same passion and interest. I love all the quantum physics and the science and the energy, and I just find it fascinating. And the more you learn, it's like there's just more. It just keeps coming, and it's just it's just so great.
Yeah.
But I think that it makes me feel better because I've, been on that thought pattern my whole life. And I think that there's more people that are more open to that there is more than what we see, which is really great, but it's not the popular, it's not the popular choice to share that kind of information. So I think that it makes it feel like you're not so, woo woo or right. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's
That's
talking
a
that stuff again, right?
that's a part of our journey as people who are awakening. And to anyone listening, I'm sure you can relate to this as well. Um, Part of it is learning not to care what other people think. And I admit, I still do care what other people think. Now, I know it's not a good idea, uh, but on a subconscious level, that's still there. And it takes time to, I guess, deprogram myself from all that. Is it guilt and shame? I guess is what it ultimately comes down to.
Well, I think we all have that perception from when we were a child, and we're only seeing so much of or understanding so much. And I think we all have that not enough, right? Like
Mm.
maybe people will see me and they're going to see that I'm not enough, right? And I think that the more that I do this work and the more reading and we're all the same. We're all dealing with the same stuff. It's just some people are willing to share it and be upfront about it, like you and I. And there's other people who, just, pretend that that's not a thing. So
Yeah. Jackie, I've got a question. What methods do you use to remind yourself that you are good enough?
well, that's a good question. Um, and it's funny because I've had a real tough time since Christmas, just not feeling well and um, going through lots of resistance and just really working through the patterns and catching how deep layered um, these beliefs are that we don't know that we have. Um,
Do you catch yourself just thinking negative
thank
thought?
God,
And then you're like,
thank God.
oh, wait, that's my ego, right?
Do you know what? Thank goodness now I can.
Hmm.
But it's been a lot of work because you are seeing what somebody is doing, but you're in that energy space and and for them to project that for you, right? So, they there's the belief that we have soul contracts before we come in, and
Hmm.
I believe that. Just
Yeah.
I know a lot of people they believe that you just come in once and then you're gone, but energy is eternal and infinite, and it doesn't die; it just transforms, right? And we see that
Yeah.
with the environment. We're the same as that, right? But it doesn't die; it's still there. It's just in a different
Yeah.
form,
I
right?
just, carry on.
So apparently we're here to expand. If we didn't have that really harsh contrast, which is, I know they say that the energies right now are the highest that they've ever been, right? So um, over the millions of years, Greg Braden shows um, that it's just secular what's happening, like the global warming and this and that. And it's interesting because now we're getting to a place where it's the highest vibrations that it's ever been, and that's that intensity I believe that we're all feeling, and we're butting heads with everybody and everybody's kind of showing us our stuff.
Well, something came to me. This is the idea how, the hero's journey where you go through this cycle, but if you don't learn the right lessons, you need to kind of repeat it, right? But imagine that is what humanity is going through as a collective, right? Over a 12,000 year cycle or something, right? And we have the opportunity to like break out and spiral up to the next cycle of on a higher level, right? And but there's I suppose technically you could say there's a possibility of just repeating it again, but I don't
Well,
think.
I'll tell you what, I just keep repeating, like the once you start to see your pattern of the emotional and the mental and the I'm not enough, right? It's thankfully I can catch myself and not go down for weeks
Oh,
at a time. I can catch myself and but boy, oh boy, it's challenging, right? And they
oh,
like
sorry.
all the neuroscientists say that this is the process, and as soon as you start to break it down and just be aware, it just starts to, but it's intense. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. Actually, it came to me like, what if negative experiences with others, that if they don't like us or they're rude to us, whatever, if especially if others judge us, is it kind of the universe? Is it a way that the universe tests us and gives us the opportunity to um I guess to let go of what other people think or what no longer serves?
Well, and I think if we weren't experiencing that, like if we weren't experiencing the uncomfortableness of being judged and, trying to figure out, why you're not good enough or, what it is that they don't like about us, um, that just keeps us in the pattern,
Yeah,
right? But
it's what you don't like about you,
yeah, but it's
they
not,
will reflect.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, our 11-year-old, she's struggling a bit in, just going through that age and friends and
Yeah.
just explaining to her that when they're spewing that at you, that's theirs. It only becomes yours if well, we feel it, right? So what we have to do is we have to feel it and go, okay, that's what that is. Why am I feeling like that? Or what part of me is feeling that way? Um, Not ask the question, what did I do or why? Because then it keeps it in motion, keeps us there, keeps us stuck. So asking ourselves the right question is um, really, really important, which I think is a really, to share that, it's a big
Yeah.
gift because I would beat myself up. I would be like, okay, I was doing great. Now all of a sudden it's like, bam, you're down again, right? So then
Mm.
instead of saying, okay, well, we live in a universe of polarity, we're supposed to be like that. Instead, I just, would go straight into beating myself up, like, oh, I thought I did this work, da, 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 right? And then it's just finding ourselves there and stopping it and going, okay, stop, because it's that story, it's that energy that attracts those people to be nasty to us,
But at
because
the same time, it's not
we're being
necessarily,
nasty to us.
yeah, we can be grateful for it though. But it's just, it can be
Yeah.
so hard sometimes, can't it? It can be so hard, but yeah. You met, I've got another question though. Um, so you're into spirituality and you're a parent. Now, you're aware that fear and guilt is very often a means by which parenting is done, right?
Parenting
How
is
do
done
you do it differently?
unconsciously, I believe. I think we're just running a program from what we were taught.
Yeah,
And
right. So how do you maintain boundaries and um a- and what means of parenting do you do without using fear and guilt?
well, you know what? That's a great question, because I always have raised my kids with what I believe, right? That I believe that we're all equal. I don't believe that, somebody who has a better job than me is better than me. Um, so I just try to share that with them, and what I'm working through, but also, um, I hit a really bad bunch of trauma, as you know, and the, um, just you know, I'm getting on the other side of it now. But when you're in the midst of that and you don't know why you're how to function anymore, like you're not functioning, and then there's your kids. Well, you're the parent, you're not, you know what I mean? So for me, my due diligence was that they're well, because they're just imitating us, right?
Hmm.
Like, so they're going to love themselves when we love ourselves, right? So I just talk to them about that, and we do meditation, and I share the breathing, and um, it's they laugh and they get all kind of funny, but you know what, they actually really, the energy that they feel and the benefit, they are open,
That's
which,
honestly, you're touching me. It's really nice.
yeah, it's, we've got the little 3-year-old, right, from just um our oldest daughter passed, and we adopted her when she was 3 months, and oh my goodness, she is a spitfire. And she just, it Bruce Lipton's work, right, it says, up until the time we're 7, all we're doing is imitating what we're watching in our home, right? And so as parents, we're disciplining our children, well, they're learning it from us, right? And so
Mm.
we're making them feel bad, and we're scowling them, and we're doing this and that. I can see it in the 3-year-old, right? She imitates every one of us with her little bad behaviors and things that we do. And it's literally, I can talk to her, and her awareness, and she's like a little Buddha baby. She is, I think she came here to help us through the ascension. It's
So
like,
she's your teacher.
she is, yeah, she's quite something. Um, she starts acting up, I'll just look at her and be like, hey, so you want my attention? And she's like, that's all she wants. But it's just saying that to her, me saying, okay, here it is, just say that to me, say what it is, and then you can have it. Don't destroy. But it's incredible because
Hmm.
she's that smart that she flips it and does it. And But yeah, hiding the candies behind the back. I don't have anything, Mom.
Does she do it with the grin as well?
What's that?
Does she do it with the grin as well?
Does she do it with a, oh goodness, oh my goodness, she's a total character ham. Like it's she makes us laugh every day. It's very funny. Yeah. Oh, Mom. Like it's like,
All right. So there was you mentioned there's someone a scientist or researcher that you wanted to share about.
yeah. Well, so you know, and you also love Joe Dispenza and
Yeah.
Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, and I love their work. But I've come across some new neuro scientists, which it's all the same information, but they're who they are and their take on it and how they explain it, and they give different tools that are, I mean, the tools that they're coming out with now are just so effective and easy. Like, so Andrew Huberman, I watched him on the Lewis Howe podcast, and um, anyways, we'll kind of touch base with that. But and then last night I came across this other one lady, and her name was Carolyn Leaf, and I couldn't. I had to keep watching it because it was so. You know, I guess when you've been through um, like such trauma or whatever, right? You want, and all of a sudden somebody's saying stuff that's going, oh my God, that's what happened to me, right? Because I think once you have the knowledge and the understanding of what's happening and what's not firing and why, like Andrew Huberman says that as soon as I look at you or I focus on something, your eyes dilate and you go into like a fight or flight mode immediately just by paying attention to something.
Really?
I thought was fascinating because, um, and then he's saying that like there's fight or flight that's really good. Like like there's part of that that you want to use and you want to exercise. We don't still want to stay in that
What's the constructive aspect of it?
of of what the constructive aspect
Fight or
of.
fight or flight.
I think because we're meant to push ourselves here, right? We've gotten real lazy, like we were like
Right.
cavemen, right? We got our food and we cooked it, and we what do we do now? We do nothing, right? Except for sit there and listen to, well, not listen to, but well, I guess listen to our mind ticking along, stating things that we've heard, things that we don't like. We're not really even thinking, is that the truth? Is that true for me? Is that somebody else? Somebody will say something and then you'll hear it again. And then somehow the brain picks it up as that's truth.
So is it
And
like standing in your strength and potentially walking forward despite difficulty? Because that's what I heard recently. I can't remember what it was. It's the other day. It's the idea that there's something, there's a form of, you could say aggression, but it's not quite aggression. That's just simply moving forward in a challenging situation. And that is positive,
yeah,
even if it's not like fighting someone, like per se, which is different.
I think that it runs along the same lines as Wim Hof, you know, like the ice cold baths and the ice cold showers. And we need to have some kind of, um, we need to have some kind of push for ourselves, right? So that our body is growing. And I think, you know, with the energies and the duality that's happening right now in the world, you know, some people think it's black or it's white. And if you don't think it's white, then
You're black.
we're not talking anymore. Like it's
Yeah. Oh, there's
it's
so much
bizarre
of
what's
that.
happening.
So I'm interested in trying to get out of that.
Yes.
But not everyone, even in the spiritual community, not everyone is ready necessarily or willing, because you come in it with ideologies or beliefs that we had beforehand, right? And that can skew our perspective even when we're in spirituality. even on politics, I'm trying to move more towards unity, but there's certain positions I hold that might not be tolerated by certain other people in the spiritual community. And there might be certain things that bother me, even though I don't want to be, you know, in a dualistic mindset. Um, you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely. I think that's why I didn't grow up with any religion, and my mom and dad had bad experiences where the faith that they grew up in turned their back on both of them because my mom and dad got married. My dad had already been married, so back then I guess that was taboo. So I think just that, giving everything and then having them turn their back because you fell in love with somebody and you're going to marry them. So anyways, I didn't know anything, and I'm still really learning about all the different religions, and it's just so my oldest daughter, she wanted to go, so I took her to a private Christian school. She begged me, she wanted to go there, and I was like, geez, that, okay. And it was not the best experience, just because I was thinking it was a safe place and it wasn't, and very judgmental and very, the there's no dinosaurs. And I'm like, hey, yeah, there is. Like I was at the park and, by Calgary, whatever the name of it is, I can't remember now. But it's like there's beliefs there. And even you believe them, like you just need to do what that book says. So that person's perception, I don't know. I'm just not that person. I guess, right? Like if it's not landing and feeling authentic, it's like, no, I can't say, okay, I'm going to go with that. But I think that's what most of us do, and probably I was doing too without knowing, is you just try to fit into the box as best you can, right?
Yeah, that a lot of people do that. I mean,
Yeah.
my experience growing up was interesting because on some level, I couldn't fit in because I was just different, like cognitively, just like differently wired, But
Yeah.
at the same time, there was part of me that definitely yearned for it because I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like a misfit for a long time. But maybe in certain other ways, growing up, you do get conditioned by, through parenting and school to sort of go along with what you're told to do. So it's not like I wasn't in a box, like everyone are, but at the same time, I wasn't always fitting in. So everyone have it to some extent. Just maybe some people less than others.
So that's what my 11-year-old daughter is experiencing right now. And
Right.
she's got severe dyslexia. She's got a little bit of a speech, um, that she's works
Mm.
on. So she talks really fast sometimes because I think she's not real secure about it, because everybody's like, they're telling her, speak slower, talk up, right? So then she's just, the kids, the girls are, they're kind of doing yeah, no, our group's full. And she doesn't
Yeah.
understand, and she's this incredible, beautiful girl, but she's buried it inside and manifested. I mean, she's stomach sick all the time. And it's, and here's the sad thing, right? Is that it's not going to go away. We need to move through this and deal with it. But at the same time, I don't want to keep throwing her into the toxic school pool where she's got no safe zone,
Yeah.
because there's nobody there. She doesn't have a friend, right? So she's in a class that's split, that's a higher grade even, and she's got learning issues, and everybody else listens to the teacher. Well, she doesn't have learning issues. She has learning differences. She's brilliant. I mean, they did her the IQ test and everything, just to try and find out where it was that they could help her.
Mm.
It was shocking. It was shocking. Like I was like, was not expecting, but she's this brilliant little mind, but she doesn't learn the same way that the other kids are learning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our oldest daughter was like that too. And you then just think you're stupid. And of course, I grew up like that too. And so there's that, you know, yeah, not enough. Everybody knows how to do it but me, my spelling and my grammar and punctuation. I still struggle with it. Um, but
Right. You
but
know,
it's
everyone.
different. It's not that it's wrong. It's just that this is whoever developed whatever our language is. Anyways, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting how growing up, everyone have similar experiences, but also everyone have unique experiences, and these pose different challenges to us, and and they have effects on us later on. And everyone's got baggage from their upbringing.
Everyone.
Do you think we kind of choose it on some level before we live?
I do. I do. Like I look at the pattern of what my thing is, and I came in, and my dad and he was an only child, and he was a musician, he's an artist, and worked all day, worked all night. We didn't like each other because I was like a little crybaby because I was scared and not feeling, whatever, right? The youngest of five kids. And it's so anyways, then I deal with whatever those issues are in my relationships. And
Yeah, it repeats.
and it doesn't go away. Like you don't get to go break up with this relation. You think that, and to some degree there's a lot there that it's finished, and you need to clean that and blah blah blah, right? But it's still there. There's so many deep layers of it that I don't know. It's ugly and challenging, I think. I think it is for
Yeah.
most people once they get into it. I don't think it's easy because we're not in. So we have a brain, we have a mind. Our mind is supposed to be in charge of the brain. The brain is it's just not, right. It's the mind that has the power and the control. And so this is what I was telling you earlier. So Carolyn Leaf is her name, and she's just put out a book, and it doesn't look like it looks like it's a quick read too, but it talks about the mess of our brain. Anyways, I'm gonna read it because she's got a really great theory about how we didn't know about neuroplasticity before. So she taught for 30 years that the brain is this, and this is what you learn, and then that's it, and kind of the cells are dying off. And now we know that's not the truth, right? That it's growing and you're renewing as long as you are thinking that you're renewing, because we're creators. We're not fixers of the past, we're just creators, right? So she explained about addiction actually in her show, her interview. And I was blown away by it because she was saying that so she's got a process, a simple 5-step process that you follow, and it reorganizes everything, like the amygdala and all of the energies, and talks about our aura and how our energies are here, and then how when it starts to get fragmented and when we're not comfortable, that's when we start having problems with people. And that's our mind's way of saying, pay attention, you've got to fix this because you're out of balance, something's out of balance. So if that person's bothering you, it's feeling uncomfortable, it's like you need to be saying thank you and be like, okay, thank you, I obviously have something to clear. But we're so pissed off with how they're treating us that we can't even have a look that it's just showing us that we're not loving ourselves.
Yeah, it's easy for us to be like a child having a tantrum about what we're going through. Like they're being mean. So no, they're bad people. And then, but when you're out of that, you're like, well, I guess, there is something to learn there. Or at least that's when we're self-aware to that point. But
It's
yeah,
process. It's a process, but you know what? You have to do it. Everybody has to do it. So you know, some people think, oh, you know, why are you wasting your time doing all that stuff? But our brain, it will, if you don't take, apparently, if we don't take charge or control of the brain, just the toxicity and the amount of thoughts that it's having that we're not paying attention to, it's damaging us. It's killing us. So we have to go in and re-perceive, you know, those insecurities and perceptions that we had about ourselves.
Question: what's the misconception about addiction?
So she said, which I just thought this was fascinating. She said that because you're told you're an alcoholic, you have a disease, that takes your power away. So now she said, you are a human being here with these things to survive. And when they do that and they tell people that, they now just took their power out from under them, and they gave it to them because they don't know any different, because, you know, we're learning now, right? That about the plasticity and that we can heal ourselves. But she said, there is no addiction. Everybody has addictions of whatever, because we're living in this earth and things are coming at us, and everybody's got some kind of thing that they're doing to soften the blows, right? So some people are taking pain medication, some people are drinking, some people are eating, some people are shopping, whatever it is, right? But everybody's shaming everybody and judging everybody and telling everybody that they're wrong, and oh, look at them and look down at them and stuff, which is theirs. As soon as somebody's doing that, we need not look at it, because it's theirs, it's not ours, right? For them to be having that feeling and they're carrying it, it's their stuff, right? It only becomes ours if we get sucked in, if they hook us. Right?
So it's like, you've got the wrong addiction, have my addiction instead.
Right.
And people are like that.
They had a heart attack, they don't have an addiction. That person drinks, right? Like, so that person's bad and an alcoholic. But this person who just had a heart attack and open heart surgery, he's fine. He just had a heart attack, poor thing.
Yeah, right? And also it misses out that people have traumas, for example. I mean, everyone's got little traumas and things they need to deal with. But like, for example, I mean, you get people who maybe they had trauma when they're young, and then they end up being alcoholic because it numbs them to that pain, right? That's one of them. And to go talk to them and just say, okay, just go to Alcoholics Anonymous and just don't drink. That doesn't fix the actual problem of the psychological issues they have, right?
Well, now they're beating themselves up.
Exactly, it makes it worse.
So now they're going, okay, well, I can't handle this because they're trying to stay alive, which it was just fabulous to listen to this woman, because, you know, she lived, I mean, she is phenomenal. 30 years. What
does survival mode do to you?
What's that?
What does survival mode do to you?
Well, it helps you live, right? And so what happens is, when you're told that this is a disease and you can't fix it, you start dying.
It helps you live, but it also kills you.
We're told we can't help ourselves. It's like you've been given the cancer, you know, you've got, you know, you're done. There's your ticket, because they're saying to you, you have a disease and this is, you know, and you blah, 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 whatever it is. The way she explained it was just, it was quite, I mean, what a breath of fresh air for everybody who feels that they're so stuck and so addicted and so shaming themselves and so guilty and this to know that, you know what, all it is you have your mind has to take charge.
Yeah, and
meditation
and mindfulness and these things, they could deal with a lot of issues that manifest as things like addiction, right? And I wonder, I mean, it's good that it's being more of a thing now, but for a long time it wasn't taken seriously. And even now it's considered a bit woo-woo. And it's a pity because it really helps.
It really does. I think there was some things that I did with my daughter that Andrew Huberman says. He says that every day for 5 minutes to do a breathing, like so. Whenever you're taking breath in, more breath in than you're blowing out, you're energizing yourself. And at the end of the day, you want to let more air out than what you're taking in, right? But to always do 5 minutes of, and you feel like you're going to pass out almost, right? But if you did this 5 minutes a day, it resets your whole everything. Like, um, I don't have all the exact information to do what I'm trying to tell you justice, but um, this is Andrew Huberman was saying this, right? So we were doing 2 breaths out, like, or 2 breaths in, 1 breath out, like, and you can do pauses, like whatever your pattern is, doesn't matter, right? So you could go, but you have to do it for 5 minutes, right?
Breathe in
And
more than you breathe out. That simple.
it will, if you're trying, if it's in the daytime and you're trying to energize yourself, like he's a doctor, and so he was saying, there's lots of nights where he doesn't get to sleep, right? And so he's sharing ways that you can reset your whole being so that it doesn't take you down. And one
Oh,
of them,
okay.
he does yoga nindra,
Nidra.
nidra. Thank you.
It's sleep yoga, right?
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of it. Only a little bit, but it's nice.
He does it 3 times a day.
Oh, wow.
And he says if he hasn't slept, he will do that and it will reset like your amygdala, your whole constitution apparently.
So if you have trouble sleeping, or even if you've been looking at too much blue light, you could do some Nidra yoga and maybe you'll fall asleep after that because it is quite soporific.
Yeah, well, I think too that it just goes through and you're just going through your toes and your heels and I remember doing that in a classroom, grade 5 or something, right? The teacher
Hmm.
was doing that, but I think that that's where you release just having that attention into your body and the different body parts. It helps your body to be alive, right?
Hmm.
Half the time we're not taking in proper air. I know that for myself. I'll be like out of breath because I'm shallow breathing into here, right? And
Yeah,
then
we do a lot.
we're tired and we're da, 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 da. So when they explain all that, how we can just quickly, like another thing he was saying, when you're really traumatized, and he was saying that if you shift your eyes back and forth laterally,
Oh, I was just thinking of that.
yeah,
No, it's like a psychic thing going on or something. No, we're talking about EMDR, right?
yeah,
Oh,
is that
it really helps. Oh, yeah, I've been doing it with my
yeah?
psychologist.
But he said like just go full into the feeling of the trauma and how it feels, and because you have to feel it to heal it, right? But just dive in there and feel it and breathe it, and then start to jet your eyes back and forth. And again, with your eyes going back and forth laterally while you're in that feeling, it
Hmm.
cancels out the trauma, the pain, the pattern.
Yeah, and then if you do it again while thinking of like a positive like replacement for that,
Yeah.
you rewire your brain to like a much more positive take on the same experience.
Okay, so that's huge, right? Like this,
Mm,
the
mm.
very simple things that are life altering for when you've had lots of trauma, right?
Yeah. Do you know about EFT as well?
Yes. So our daughter, she's 13 now, Kennedy. She was born 3 months early, and I did that with her when she was younger because she had lack of oxygen during delivery, and
Mm.
came under the house of cerebral palsy. So I did all, I love all that stuff, right? Anything I could do to help. But yeah, that I didn't really like totally get good at it or anything. I kind of think I moved on to other things and you're busy, right? But I believe it's really powerful, right? Do you use it?
I've I've started using it a little bit. I've yet to see the results, but I have faith in it. I guess it. I mean, the person I know introduced me to it. I vouched for their opinion on it. So I guess, yeah, I would say if you combine that with EFTR, like that would be really powerful. So it's like you tap yourself in different places, which apparently connect to certain places might connect to certain emotions or something. And you focus on like a mantra in your head or out loud as you tap. And maybe which mantra you use might be related to what you feel benefits you. Like one I've been trying is like, I mean, it varies a bit, but like I am strong, I'm free, I'm unlimited, or something like that. Or it can vary a little bit, but it's something to maybe to deal with the things you've been going through, but maybe to remind yourself of how unlimited and unbounded you are, because all is one, right? Because we often forget, and we can often like go to the subconscious idea that we're separate, even though we know we're not. But it takes time to really get acclimatized to that.
It does. It does, right? To wrap your head around it because it doesn't make any sense because we don't see that. Everything is separate, right? And you
That's
look
how
at
it is.
something like I'm not like that at all, right?
But the
And we're
thing is, you are on some level. That's the part that you reject. And maybe that's why you're clashing with them, because they're the exact sort of person who, and what maybe they're repressing a part of themselves that's like you.
absolutely, yeah, because with all of the different laws of attraction or whatever, right? Um, like attracts like, the opposites, and the right. So,
Mm.
yeah, you're in that energy pool. Like I was saying to my daughter, you she's obviously beat herself up now so much that we're reprogramming to because she was just keeping it inside, right? And
Mm.
yeah, so it's it's just having, yeah, anyways. I'm trying to say something, but it's not coming out. So
I
I'll
think I
let
know
you
what you
go.
mean. And the thing is, the saddest thing is that a lot of people, most people, if not everyone, go through some kind of issues like that. And at least they've got you.
Thank you. That's nice. But you know what? I wish that I had somebody when I was younger who had the understanding of what we're talking about because
Mm.
I knew that that was all a thing, but I didn't understand it. And I didn't know anybody to talk to about it. And I think that if we can raise our kids like that with that awareness that, what you think you're broadcasting, and then other people are turning and they're picking up saying, oh, they're picking up a positive energy that you've turned your light on
Mm.
and you're emanating, you know, love, and then people want to be around you because you feel good. But when you're, you know, the victim and everybody's beat you up again, and we all feel like that,
Yeah.
uh, nobody wants to be around you. But we don't realize that because we're just so,
In it.
you know what I believe it is I believe that if somebody would just validate that he, I think that you need to be heard. I think looking back for me, um, I just, because this is a new field and because it's a different thought process than what, you know, the world has been on, right? I just didn't have the confidence, or so if I would believe something, and then if I would be judged or questioned about it, then I would falter, right? Like I
Or
didn't
you
have,
get defensive.
well, I think I just didn't have like, you don't have anybody that's saying what you're saying or experiencing what you're experiencing,
Hmm.
right? They're experiencing that, like my dad, you're born, and then you die and there's nothing else. And I was like, really?
That,
You kidding
I
me?
mean, the thing is, that's not the thing is, that must be hard to deal with. And I know I used to deal with that. The fear of annihilation, essentially. And I guess in this secular age, I guess it's what people have to live with. I've got a question for you though. Have you ever had any weird experiences with this ongoing awakening? And because people get like psychic attacks or just interesting sort of uh things come up. So I'm wondering,
Oh yeah. Probably too many to even come up with one, but
anything like weird, like when you're trying to sleep.
yeah, I'm not sleeping. I haven't been sleeping for it's like I'm on that fight or flight. It's like um I've got stuff that I've got to get done. It's this feeling of I've got um I don't even know how to explain it, and it's it's like a deeper, it's very deep, and it's a um yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
Something feels wrong.
Like 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 what, like I know I've got to learn and understand and release um this pattern, right? And get a different vision, or you get, I think we're in a time right now that you get to stay there, or you get to say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take my power back and create my life.
Yeah.
It's
The thing
sitting
is
here
though, if
torturing
we
myself.
push ourselves too much to awaken more, you might actually get in our own way. I've actually, yeah. So one thing I've been doing is kind of, I realized my ego is getting involved in my meditation and stuff like that. And so I took a step back and I want to do it when it feels right rather than making myself do it. But it means I've been meditating way less because I'm just sort of recalibrating, like, how do I do it in a natural way that's not just some sort of ritual?
Well, yeah, so I'm like that too. I kind of just go with how I'm feeling, but I'm understanding that we need to have a, a, a pattern that we do. Um, and um, like it's like this Carolyn Leaf, she was talking about it. Andrew Huberman, he's talking about it. They all talk about it. Like we have, and it's because we're reprogramming, or we're rewiring um, what we've known, right? We were just living unconsciously, and just everything was just happening to us before, right? And then now we understand that we're actually the creators, and our environment is our thoughts. Like we have a thought, and then we think it again, and then all of a sudden it starts to manifest, right? Like everything that is around you, you first wasn't there before you first thought about it, right? So we have a
Yeah.
thought. I think what happens is we start to project the holograph, like the illusion. And so I think that's where when they say, um, somebody's behaving to you, but you have to be accountable for it. Um, because otherwise they own you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I lost track again, but I'm trying to tell you something, but I've lost track again. Sorry. Pick up
Weird
where,
experiences relating to spirituality.
right. You know what? Last night, I don't know if you've noticed, but the sky seems very, very close to us. And the stars, we were in the hot tub last night, and I'll tell you what, those stars were like big and bright and very close.
Was it almost a sense that you had that they were close that went beyond
Well,
your regular senses?
and so I heard something that the Earth is like the energies are so intense that it's ascended. We're actually um, catapulting right through the universe, and other planets, and they're trying to support and keep us so we don't implode. Is what I understand. Um,
So like a vibration as we're moving
that's what I
up
understand.
into the fifth dimension. And it's not immediate, but it's a sort of
They say that we're ascending right now, and then they said that you'll notice that uh, that the sky, and I think it was like about a month ago. And so every night I always gazing at the stars and have a telescope and blah blah blah, right? And literally the sky is very close to us,
huh.
which is really interesting.
There might be certain stars in the cluster that somehow are, I
Like,
don't know, helping us.
like Ryan's belt last night, literally, like my husband and I, we could just grabbed it. They were, I've never seen it so big and so shiny and so, it was interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, it was like we were, out north or something in Alaska with the stars. They're pretty, so start paying attention, see if you notice anything of like that kind of feeling that things are like we're moving.
Yeah,
So
all right.
I don't know. I don't know how it looks or how it actually works, but
I've heard that some interesting things like that there's more light coming from the sun, or should I say Ra, which is helping out with our ascension because apparently it's just like light codes in it and stuff, and especially this month, but also especially but also generally since the beginning of this year or the 21st. So I mean, yeah, we all thought some of us thought there'd be this very dramatic change that would be very visible on a 3D sense once we get into this age of Aquarius, but it's more like a lot of people aren't noticing it because it's not on that level of awareness that you need to get at a high level first before you notice.
right. So I think that everybody's just feeling the uncomfortableness of the energies, right? And the conflicts and the, you know, and then there's through that, I think that that makes you uncomfortable, that you have to kind of awaken a bit to help yourself, is what I understand.
To come to grips with what's going on. But the thing is, some people, the way they get to grips with it is they conform. And that's how they manage, because it's like, we can get through this and back to normality if we just do what we're told, take the vaccine, all that. And I absolutely understand. It's just, well, I mean, there's some people, I guess the idea that the authorities aren't reliable for our best interests is more scary to acknowledge than going through loss of liberty if you're not ready. Yeah, that's a way I put it.
You know, one of my best girlfriends lives in Texas, and And, you know, she was off to go get her vaccine the other day, and I just kind of made a smarty comment like, well, okay, good luck with that, right? But, you know, but she's very, like, blah, 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 to me. And I was like, because that's not we're not like that. Um, and so anyways, we had a bit of a conversation about it, and I just said, you know what? She's like, well, I don't want to die, and I want to protect my family, and protect my life so I don't die, because that's what, that fear has been just drilled into us, and that is kind of a society thing to conform, right?
I mean, I've been told I don't want to go to your funeral. And that's not something you want to hear, really, is it?
Well, and what I said to her is, you know what? I don't want to die from it. So the information and stuff that I've seen from the top medical team doctors in the USA that are pleading with the Senate, two different cases, it's, they're not saying against it, but they're just saying like there's lots of things that we have already, to help, so that these people don't have to die. Um, it's just such an interesting time because it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah, I there's
And you have to be careful with it because it's like because everybody has a different perspective, right?
yeah,
And everybody's assuming that everybody's perspective is the same, but not one of ours is the same. We're all experiencing it differently.
yeah. There's another thing I've been coming to recently, though, which is on one level we can look at all these conspiracies or agendas or what have you, and all the issues with that we're not told about. But at the same time, if you take a step back even further, these things are all catalysts and all a way to wake up an entire collective, right? And I have faith that um, the vaccines, even when it comes to some people speculating about it taking away the God gene or something, so the idea that people wouldn't be able to be spiritual so easily with having it, I have faith that the rising frequency and the awakening is just gonna trump all of that. I shouldn't have used that word, right? Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. That wasn't the
I
intention.
think so too. I see that's my husband too. I don't know. I still see that the white horse comes riding out. I know that it looks like, you know, the end of, whatever, but all the movies, the good, the white horse wins, right? Prince Charming rides out at the end, and the good always is a higher energy than evil, right? And they say, right, Course in Miracles, there is only love. Fear is just of the brain that we need to
Right,
get.
and yet duality exists. So
We need duality to expand, right? To grow. Without the duality, then every day is a sunny day, and we're not enjoying the sunny day probably anymore.
yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone today, and they're more, I'd say, Christian. Well, I was talking to them online, but it's just the idea that came out that from them that it's a question of what do you do with fear and what is the purpose of it? Like, is fear the negation of love? Does it serve a purpose? Like, should we fear God or should we?
Oh, excuse me.
I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. I suppose it's, I don't know. Have you got a response? Because I don't know what else to say.
I pass that on to you.
Uh,
Get wrapped up in, because there's so much to kind of sort through and think about, right?
It's like I could talk about this, and then suddenly it's like, I don't know. It's this thing. What I find interesting podcasting is that you've got to be willing to just go with something sometimes and not know if it will work out, because some people, they're anxiously preparing like every single thing they say in order, and I like just flowing and seeing where it's going.
It's way better.
Yeah.
And Brian Rose taught that, right? You know, don't edit any video. People don't want to see
Well,
perfect. People have seen
I
perfect,
might
perfect,
hire
perfect
someone
for
to do
so
that.
long.
I don't know. I wonder if that perhaps I could have just a few edited ones, but mostly unedited ones. But it's kind of like we're going quite meta now, aren't we? But yeah, I do mostly like to flow with it though. I really feel like that's an intuitive approach. And but the question is, how do we find a way to do that that still, because sometimes people don't want to listen to you for hours. Maybe they do though, I don't know.
Do you know what? Yeah, right. Yeah. People don't want to listen to us for hours, I'm sure, right?
Well, you can comment if you do want to listen to me for hours. Maybe you do. Yeah.
I think that what you're saying though, my coach explained to me, right? Like she just said, you know what, when you're nervous, just remember that it's get out of your ego because you're being of service, right? And so how can I serve is, you know, and so our intention is to share, you know, the wealth of information for natural healing and, you know, what's shifting so quickly in our world, right? Like,
Share and co-create. And communication is a sharing, right? Surfing with others is all about, serving others is all about sharing and co-creating. And in a sense, an interview is co-creating, isn't it?
yeah,
Collaborating with other people as equals. There's something, well, it does depend. There is a way to do interviews that might be like more domineering, but I don't think people enjoy that so much. So you've seen it on the news, haven't you? They're like, they ask a question, but they don't let the people answer as much anyway. Uh,
you're right. They're not listening.
the anchors sometimes are like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all like that, right?
Sometimes I
We're in
listen
a
to an episode.
conversation
Oh,
and we're just talking about thinking about our next thing to say
oh
instead of
yeah.
what the person's saying.
Yeah. Oh man, I've done that so many times. I'm doing it less now, luckily, but yeah, it's like there's a true level of listening is where your attention is on what they're saying, and what comes after is what flows after. But it's so easy to be like, oh, there was this thing I wanted to say, and there's this. I'm like, oh, where's the gap, right?
Right. And so that puts us right back into that addiction thing that she was talking about, right? So
Oh,
we do that with our thoughts because we're trying to protect ourselves because there's so much coming at us all the time, right? And so
yeah.
again, apparently we're not listening. We're busy in our head trying to think of what we're going to say next because we're kind of in fear that we're not going to say it right or right. So we're not even present in the right. So
That's fear, is it? Yeah, that's a good point. So
which then runs into um, all of those, you know, lack of self confidence type.
yeah, part of awakening is realizing where you're afraid or angry, or what, realizing where your negative emotions are, because knowing yourself is part of it, right? Because you might not, it might not even notice what it is you're feeling. Just be, you might just be absorbed in it.
Yeah, you know, again, I'm going to say it one more time, whenever I'm doing that, and it's been so helpful, is just asking myself, what part of me is feeling this way?
Yeah, that's powerful.
It's funny because you'll land right where it started. It's very funny
Do you
how
ever get an answer then?
oh yeah, it's like I feel like I'll land right. I was 7 years old and this was happening, or do you know what I mean? It's like, and then there's usually a chain link of that emotional pattern that just keeps coming at us because it's wounded, right?
Oh, so we interview ourselves. That's a great idea. I just, yeah.
Yeah. I know, I love this stuff, Nick. I could talk about it all day long. It's just
Yeah.
so great. But I think that I think we need to watch this Carolyn Leaf and this Andrew Huberman, and they have so many like uh, easy, quick things for us to help ourselves.
Oh,
Like,
that's valuable. Yeah.
yeah. Like
So I highly
imagine
recommend
with
that.
the baby's screaming and crying and this and that, right? Well, you can do this breath work, like, and it just will reset you and take you out of that, out of the spiral.
Yeah, and also don't look at it like a chore. Look at it like, okay, I could do this, like a toolbox, right? A toolbox that helps you cope. And you can have it with you. And if you're feeling stressed or something, just take it out and do that. And like you could do that instead of whatever it is you do to cope normally.
Well, to just run the pattern, right?
Yeah, instead of smoking to cope, for example, you could be like, I guess I'll do that little technique now. And that way you're doing it intuitively.
Yeah.
I'm kind of saying this as much to myself as I am to you guys. Yeah.
Well, I think that we have to talk it out to kind of understand it, right?
Hmm.
To have, and then when you share and then you teach and then you write and then you read, then it becomes a part of us, right? It stays with us, that wisdom. But I think when
Yeah.
we share it once and we don't know it, you're not understanding it, you're not experiencing it. So
Play with it, right? Like like you're a kid and you're just playing around with paint or something.
right. You know what? That's what we have to do. And that's what I'm explaining to my kids, right? Like start daydreaming, start visualizing, start like that's what we did as kids, right? You like start envisioning what it feels like. What do you like? What's your best day? Spend time there, right? So law of attraction, you will get what you're thinking of. So if you know that, it's we don't have the power to not have that happen. So it's a universal law. You're going to get what you're thinking about, and especially if you got some emotion behind it. So if you're sitting there judging somebody else, thinking, "Oh, look at them," and this and that, and no, da, 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 right? Well, you are setting yourself up for that to come for you, right? And
And that's
so
like karma, isn't it?
you feel that you've upped yourself looking down your nose at somebody because you're perceiving whatever they're doing in a certain way.
Hmm.
They don't know what you're perceiving because they're perceiving it totally different. This is what I've really come to understand is um, this is what I heard you say, and it's usually not
I was like,
what
what? I didn't say
you're
that.
saying.
Then someone else might say, I didn't say that you said that. And then it's a mess.
Well, and especially between men and women, right? Like my husband and I, it's interesting because I'll hear I'm like, what? I never, but that's what he heard, right? And so
Yeah.
thank God we're able to do that with each other, right? Okay, not that it's been a piece of cake to get to that, right? Because our egos are so big, you know,
And so, yeah,
so big.
sometimes it's like, oh, I'm such a good light worker. Wait. No. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, we did a bunch of energy clearing on our house and our property and stuff. And I always kind of never really knew if that was a real thing, but we had a bunch of different people telling us that there was energy that needed to be cleared, and
Okay.
was quite a process and an understanding and a kind of going, okay, like really, but it's interesting, right? Because people with their negative thoughts, right? If they're judging you and they're close to you, they can hold you in that spot, right? Hopefully we're not looking and we can, we're more powerful than that and can go the other way. But generally if it's pushing a button and then they're they're really dumping their stuff on you, thinking that you're just this horrible person. Meanwhile, it's their stuff that they're getting out. It's such a it's such an awakening, right?
So
it
you've
takes.
experienced that too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's something. So a lot of us awakening, we're dealing with other people. Do people dump onto other people with higher frequency?
One more time.
Do people dump onto people with higher frequency more?
Oh God, yeah, because they drain, right? It's that they're attracted to anybody who's got their light on, right? Because as soon as you're as soon as you open up your heart and you're thinking a positive thought, you're emanating energy, right? And you're broadcasting, whether we like it or not. So whatever we're thinking or feeling, which really sucks because some days we're just, we're just struggling, right? And and we just end up making things just worse for ourselves throughout the day. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
But it's I think that it's exciting because we have the power and the knowledge and the wisdom through science and everything now that we don't have to live like that anymore. Like we're not supposed to be in this negative, toxic cesspool continually guilting people and guilting ourselves, and because that's all we're doing, right? We're just misplacing, throwing uncomfortable feelings around that we haven't looked at.
Yes, but in all of these negative experiences, it's an opportunity. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like we're come to a point where we could finish the interview, but it's
I do too. I think that it's a beautiful sunny day where I am. How about you?
well, it's nighttime right now, but it
Oh,
was a nice sunny day.
that's right.
But you go and have a nice walk outside or something.
I
And
will.
if you're listening as well, if you can have a walk outside, might be a good idea.
Yeah, and they say that when we're feeling stressed and stuff, get out in nature. It
Yeah.
helps. Breathe. Great to see you.
Yeah. And thanks for listening. If you did, breathe. It's only natural. All right. Bye for now.